just getting into heaven, I think, is such the like that's the lowest bar,
bro.
It's like here on
So
earth
low.
we get to experience the fullness of God.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that your life's gonna be perfect, but you get to experience in the fullness of God.
And relationship now. So he sees a cursed man in a tree and tells him to get down from that tree because he's going to Jerusalem to get on a tree,
right,
to be crucified.
But what I don't think we focus enough on is that what the Lord is offering is so much better.
So much better.
And there's sacrifice, but there also is reward. And we're back.
If I had more time.
If I had more time.
Do we have a theme song?
We have a song. We have a jingle.
We have a
jingle that we have used. I think every episode so far. Maybe it came in like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, so maybe I just drown it out. Then it's like white noise because I'll watch these sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, so maybe I just drown it out. But
yeah, it's on the intro and on the little fade outro. I have a little jingle. That maybe after around like 50, maybe we'll switch it up. You know what I do find interesting is like, those jingles, I feel like I always associate them with like those like commercials, like infomercials, or like car dealerships that were made like forever ago.
Oh yeah.
Like Massey Nissan. So, yeah. And you're like, dang bro. Like someone made that jingle. And I think
somebody paid for it.
40 years.
Yeah, dude.
Hopefully he's getting like, he's got perpetual royalties.
You guys got royalties, on that. Dude. A lot of those jingle writers do, man.
Those are like, imagine having like, you write a jingle so good that like for 30, 40 years.
It's the same thing.
What's the
I knew a pastor that was a jingle writer.
What's the
I made money.
Dun, 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 and I need cash now. Which is brilliant because I still remember that.
Still remember
like, man.
That's crazy. No, I knew a pastor that was a jingle writer before he was a pastor.
A jingle writer?
Yeah, dude. And he would write stuff. He would score things for TV shows, and then he would write like different or think about like all the different sitcoms that we grew up with.
I know, yeah.
And they're the milkman, the people, the evening TV. You're like, what in the world?
So great, dude.
Or the Cheers. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. Now I'm dating myself because people are like, I've never seen that before. I legit was I was talking to a pastor, and I was trying to give the example of the Cheers effect. Because I remember I used to, like in leadership talks years ago, I'd talk about it all the time, and people knew the show Cheers. It's like the Cheers effect is when you walk in, everyone goes, Norm, and you have the place where you sit, and like everyone. But when you start growing as a church, you walk in, and there's too many people to see that you walked in the room, so nobody goes, Norm, and somebody's sitting on your stool, and all that stuff. But I used to give this whole analogy, and I started talking to this younger pastor. I was like, have you seen the show Cheers? And they're like, no. What is that? I was like,
what is that?
Dang it. I'm older. I'm seasoned. I think I don't know. I feel like I grew up in the best era. Anyways, let's write a jingle.
Did a jingle.
If I had more time, did it.
If you're watching or listening to this and you're a jingle writer, hit us.
If I had more time,
it's gotta be 40 years good though.
It's got to be 40 years good.
It can't be, not 50 episodes good. It's got to be 40 years good.
40 years good. All right. If I had more time.
For those of you who are watching, though, and can see, I'm trying to look at my screen here. It's kind of hard to do. What's so weird? 4K. For those of you who don't know, we have a TV above so I can see myself, but it's flipped.
That's what I'm looking at.
And so doing that was hard. But yeah,
4,000.
4,000. We finally did it. It took us a few extra weeks.
Let's go.
But 4,000 subs on the YouTube. We're very thankful for that. And onward
and upward
to 5K.
Here we come. Here we go.
That's right.
Boom.
And it's cool. A lot of people, man, it's just every weekend, man, people are like, there's one guy who's telling me he has a job where he had to fly out to Guam. Past week for work. And he was like, bro, just sat down after work. I'm just crushing episodes, watching
Love
through.
it.
Another gentleman, he was telling me, I think he said he was like, he had like a long drive for his work. He had to drive quite a few, like almost a day's worth. He was like, man, I just crushed episodes of the podcast.
Go.
So good. So it's just cool. People come up, whether it's
is.
at church or whatever the case might be, and just sharing how much the podcast episodes are reaching and impacting them. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So that is
awesome.
cool to know,
Thanks,
dude.
We love
that
it.
is
you
cool.
Share that with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And so we have kind of a 2-week.
Two more weeks mini-series. Yeah, so it's 3 weeks total, including Easter.
Yeah, so 3 weeks total. But we started a little mini kind of series that we are building a bridge between Jericho, which is where we kind of left off in Joshua, to Jerusalem as we approach Easter and Jesus's path to the cross. Yeah, and so that's where we found ourselves this past weekend. Yeah, and so those of you who maybe you haven't seen it, you're going, why are we talking about? Why are we in Jerusalem? Now? Yeah.
Well, so the crazy thing is, so I was looking at Joshua and going, could we preach this through Easter? And I mean, not that you have to come up with something different for Easter. Like we stayed through Acts, but it actually ended up being perfect because it dealt with Paul's conversion and all that stuff. So it wasn't like we have to get out of here for Easter. But I was just looking, I was going, I really would like to focus on kind of the last couple weeks of Jesus's life leading up to Easter. I think just for our church, we have a lot of newer people to the faith, but also a lot of people that are like seasoned in the faith, but just kind of lack maybe more in-depth understanding of it. And what hit me was like, oh my gosh, like Jericho was the city that Jesus was in before he goes to Jerusalem. And I was like, and we just got out of Jericho. So I figured it's a great, it's not a stretch, it's like kind of a great leeway to end there. And then also like what we'll talk about today, the connection between Zacchaeus and Jericho and Jesus going, and then Achan, Jericho, and judgment. It's wild. It's we can dive into that here in a bit, but so and then the next week we'll talk about triumphal entry. I don't know, we'll see where the message goes. Tomorrow will be my study day, but really kind of thinking through, triumphal entry and leading up really to that Last Supper. And then, because then that jumps us into the next week will be Easter. So we'll see on that, but pretty nuts, dude. Jericho. Yeah. We're back in it. The rebuilt city. Side note, it was free t-shirt Sunday. Yeah. So hopefully everyone got their t-shirts. I was going to wear mine today, but today's Monday and I wore it all day yesterday. So same. And, but I will be wearing it on Tuesday. While everyone is watching this, I will be wearing it. There you go. I wanted to hit this just in the message, but I didn't. Just the power of invitation right now. Because, kind of at the end, there is this invitation. Grace invites, but then you have Jesus that invites. And then there is a whole, what's crazy. So, and again, we asked everyone to write down, like there's Zacchaeus, who can they connect with? And Barna does this whole, in Lifeway, and they do these studies on outreach, right? And they find that 70 to 80% of unchurched people say that they're likely to come to church or attend church if invited on Easter. Yeah. Because Easter's that special time, so they'll come, right? For sure. And 35% say they actually will attend for sure if someone they know invites them. And if you think about that, so if we do the math for our church, because right now, man, actually, we probably have like between the sanctuary and we won't even count kids, but kids can invite too. Your kids actually have a radical power of invitation. That's right. Kids will come because they have less hangups and all this stuff like that when it comes to church. But if we have between the backyard, we'll just do backyard, garage, and sanctuary, I don't know, 11 or 1,200 adults. Yeah. At least 1,200. Right now, you mean? Yeah. Yes. So let's say, so if 50% invite 2 people, So let's say half of our church. So we'll just invite 12. That's 1,200 invites.
Yeah.
And then let's say 30% actually answer the invite.
Yeah.
That's 400 people.
Wow.
That would show up on Easter. And then because I think sometimes we discount ourselves or count ourselves out. Maybe that's a better way to say it. When it comes to, no one will come if we invite them. And people are always blown away, you know?
Yeah.
And by the way, and wear the shirt. I actually got a testimony from somebody that was like, I've been wearing this shirt and I've already had 2 people ask me about the church.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. Yeah. Cause they got the shirt on Thursday. But
yeah.
Anyways, invite.
Yeah.
Invite.
100%.
Jesus stopped, saw Zacchaeus and invited him.
Come on.
Yeah. So crazy. This is the first of many things that I left out of this message, dear Lord. One, because it's there, but it's also, it's symbolic. It'll preach for sure, but it isn't necessarily, okay, you can for sure make that parallel. But the thing that I find quite interesting, right? So Jesus, again, in the lowest city, he's ascending to Jerusalem, which I wanted to spend more time on that for sure. And he finds a man in a tree, and this doesn't necessarily say this, but again, thematically throughout Scripture, the idea of the tree is cursed. Like, curse is the man who hangs on a tree.
Right.
They ate from the tree of good and evil, and thus the curse of sin. All of these things, right? You see it throughout Scripture. So he sees a cursed man in a tree, then tells him to get down from that tree because he's going to Jerusalem to get on a tree,
right,
to be crucified.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a powerful, where he's telling a man to get off the tree for redemption because he's going to be put on a tree for their relationship. And that whole thing of Jesus really is like, he took what we should have,
right,
what we deserved. So that was in there, but I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
The whole, Jesus having us step down and him stepping in for us is just a powerful reminder, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. It's interesting because there are a lot of different parallels or different there's just different narratives that it seems that from a reader's perspective, if you're not maybe paying attention or just maybe even well versed in Scripture, you miss. But as you read Zacchaeus and you read a lot of the stories and a lot of the passages in the New Testament with Jesus, there's like these Old Testament kind of anchor points.
Yeah.
That I don't want to say you miss the meaning if you don't know, but it definitely gives way more context too, and way more depth, maybe is a word. But it's interesting that obviously again with the series, like with Jericho and with Jesus in Jerusalem, and obviously knowing Jesus going to the cross coming up here, I'm curious like what kind of anchor points or what kind of things do you feel like are really helping drive maybe this story or even again as you see Jesus move to the cross?
Yeah. So if we looked, we've talked about this a little bit, but just kind of to recap. So Joshua is the first part for sure. Anyways, it's almost like a redeeming of the Genesis story of us losing creation, of the sin in the land, et cetera, right? They come into the land and God gives them the victory, all that trust, everything. But then sin also again enters the picture. Then you have, and actually then that feeds into Revelation, which is really similar. Now here's in the middle is Jesus. Okay. So before coming into Jericho, Jesus, so this is almost like a redemption of Joshua, or at least that story. So I'm going to do my best to tell this with as much detail as I can as my brain in caffeine is finally kicking in. Okay, so Israelites have to cross the Jordan to come into the land. The first city they go to is Jericho. So Jesus knows that this is his last days in life. He crosses the Jordan, and then first city he goes to is Jericho. So again, the connection. Jericho is not destroyed. So Jesus doesn't roll in and go, judgment. As a matter of fact, he rolls in and there's redemption. Now, here's where there's a wild connection. So Jesus rolls into Jericho. There is a man named Zacchaeus, right? And Zacchaeus has stole devoted things via his tax collecting, etc., of those going up to worship at Jerusalem. You have Joshua 6 and 7, where Achan steals devoted things, right? You have Achan, who his name means trouble.
Yeah.
And destruction, right? You have Zacchaeus, whose name means pure and righteous, and I forget the other thing, but it's basically that, right? So pure and righteous. You have Achan, who hides his sin, and therefore, like all the way up to the end, and it actually costs it. Judgment falls on his whole family,
right?
Death to his whole family. You have Zacchaeus, who repents and makes it right, and actually brings, it says, salvation has come to his house,
right,
and saves his whole family.
Wow.
So you have you have the Joshua 6:7,
right,
where Achan, his name means destruction. You have Luke 19 with Zacchaeus, whose name means pure and righteous. You have the destruction, the troubler, trouble and destruction, hides his sin, steals the things, does not repent, and therefore brings trouble and judgment, and his whole household is killed. You have Zacchaeus, who repents and is forgiven and brings salvation to his whole household.
Wow.
And that's the connection there is pretty wild. Because in a sense, and then it goes to this whole thing of like, so Jesus goes into that city, Jericho, which was devoted to the Lord, should have been destroyed, was rebuilt, finds a sinner there, and shows grace, mercy. The man's forgiven, his whole household gets saved. And, it pulls him off a tree because he's going to a tree. And, what's the last point? Where did my mind go? So it's the idea again. Now you connect it to Revelation, where Jesus says in Revelation 20, "Behold, I make all things new." So it's a renewing of Luke 19 is like a renewing of Joshua 6:7.
Yeah.
But the ultimate renewal comes in Revelation 20 when he makes everything new.
Yeah.
But it's like these glimpses of who Jesus is all throughout the text.
Yeah.
And actually, before he goes in there, he heals a blind man, blind Bartimaeus. And so what Jesus does in Jericho is pretty wild. He'll, like, the blind receive their sight. A sinner is made new. His family is saved. So there was all like those things, but the crossing of the Jordan, the going into Jericho, it's wild, especially if you understand the Bible and you grew up a Hebrew and you read the text and all that stuff. If you're reading it back, you have to see all of these parallels. You have to see all these connections, which, by the way, again, you can't make this stuff up. It's pretty wild. And to see that again, Jesus knows what he's doing. Right. So it's trying to communicate, again, this greater story in Scripture about redemption, about humanity. And we were at a place of that. And it also speaks to this too. Again, I think we talked about this last week when we talked about Achan and his sin, is I wonder if what would have happened if he would have repented. If he would have just been like, I stole the things. Right. Shoot.
Sure.
Instead. And that's the other thing, right? You have one man who takes these devoted things because he thinks it's going to bring him joy or not joy, but you think like it's going to bring him something,
right?
Some sort of satisfaction,
purpose, or
and
something.
then you have Zacchaeus who realizes all this stuff doesn't bring satisfaction,
right?
You have one man who lusts for like these wealthy things, and then you have another man who has the wealthy things, but in a sense he doesn't lust for the Lord, but like he wants that redemption,
right?
Like he wants to catch a glimpse of Jesus. And just the opposites, right? And that you have someone who has victory, like guaranteed victory from the Lord, but still places some sort of trust in the devoted things, right? That he takes those things. And then you have another man who has no certain victory, but he has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so Zacchaeus is a great picture of, I think, people today, and especially, oh gosh, man, I could keep going.
Right.
Because you have Luke 18, which is, I think, a great picture of who a lot of America is, with the rich young ruler,
right?
Versus Zacchaeus, who, okay, I'll quit talking for now if you have something to say.
No,
Because the parallels between Luke 18 and Luke 19, not the parallels, sorry, the connections to be made for humanity and for us,
right,
is wild.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for me, that's kind of where I was going to go, was thinking through, like, there's I think when you've been around church and people, I mean, I've been around people my whole life, right? But like, you're around people
sure.
and you see so much of, you see those same kind of characters play out today, right? Where it's like, you see people, and I can think of people right now in our church, and you look on the outside and you go, man, you've got it all dialed. You got the job, you got the family, you got the money, the thing, you know what I mean? And then they come to a point where they come to church and they be like, but there's something so desperately missing in my life. And they're, the Holy Spirit awakens something in them, you know what I mean? Someone invites them, whatever the case is, but they get to experience, they experience church, they experience Jesus in a way that makes them go, man, all the other things that I have is nothing compared right? Yeah. And then you also know people where you go, man, it seems like, like they just, everything in their life was you same way. It seems like they're dialed and whatnot, and yet they fall into, whether it's complacency or whatever the case, but they fall into levels of sin and into patterns of sin. Yeah. And it takes them, they allow themselves to walk away, to fall away, to be enticed by the things of this world, or whatever the case might be. And it's hidden, some of it's hidden, or whatever the case might be. But it's like, it's just so interesting that, like, you can look at Scripture and see that, in a lot of ways, it does mirror. It mirrors. It's like what Ecclesiastes says, right? It's like there's nothing new under the sun, and it's like, it's this idea. Again, you think like, okay, well, it might be, back then it might have been donkeys and sheep, and today it's cars and boats, but it's all the same. Yep. Like it's really, in a lot of ways, it's the same things. And you see these, and it's just like, it just breaks, it makes you like, for me, it makes just my heart breaks for certain people and in certain situations, whatever the case is. But then also, I think there's so much hope in looking at someone like Zacchaeus and they're going, there's just something so sweet about someone coming to the end of all of their things and all of their stuff. Yeah. And finding themselves at the feet of Jesus, and like seeing radical change. Yeah. And seeing that, like, all the stuff that I have, all the accolades that I have, all the status, the platform, whatever it is, like it pales in comparison. It does. And there's a hole that we all are searching. There's a purpose that only God can fulfill, and only God can redeem, and only God can can like call and beckon for, and we, as everyone does, we try and fill it with so many different things.
Right.
And, yeah, it's such a great kind of reminder, I suppose, and like seeing, especially after Achan, and just kind of going like, oh yeah, like it kind of almost reminds me of that the scripture it talks about that the road is narrow, right? Like, and I've heard you say this in the message, but like the road being narrow, meaning there's like two kind of like
there's two ditches people can fall into,
that people can fall into, right? And it's like there's the way of sin and like hidden sin and kind of doing your own, thing and trying to ultimately do it on your own. And then there's like another way where it's like, again, but we also can try and fill it with, again, things of the world. And so one's like a self-reliance, right? And then one's almost like just a pure disobedience of the Lord and a rebellion against the Lord. But there's a narrow road.
Yeah, there's a narrow path
that,
for sure.
That is like, it only leads towards life, and that's the only way we can partake and experience the fullness of God. And so I don't know, it is interesting to kind of see those two back to back, like Achan and Zacchaeus. But
yeah, dude. So you think about that narrow road, right? So you have the two ditches. You have one that's lawlessness, which is just like sin, and then the other is legalism. And so the answer for both is, the answer for legalism is grace,
right?
Understanding that we can't perform. The answer for lawlessness is the fear of God, and understanding that no, he still, it does matter how you live,
right?
And you see in Achan, you see the lawlessness, and he ultimately doesn't fear God, right?
Yeah.
With Zacchaeus, you don't see legalism. You actually still see lawlessness, but you see a reverence and an awe because he wants to catch. He's like, this is a big deal that Jesus is rolling this way. The funny thing, though, is that, and these were the parallels, are pretty parallels to the American church. Luke 18, rich young ruler, versus the Zacchaeus is almost like the American dream. So and we can kind of roll this out however you want, but the wealth that Zacchaeus had is pretty freaking wild.
Yeah.
And the idea that he bankrupted himself when he started following Jesus is but I think that's a reach, because when you understand, he gives away half his possession, and then he pays back 400% on whatever. Those aren't like arbitrary numbers. He knows that he can do that,
right? And
he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
The amount of wealth that he would have accumulated, and that's the other thing too, is that it's more than just from taxes, right? He's multiple incomes. He's got businesses. He's got farms. To be wealthy in that. It doesn't say that in scripture, but it's insinuated by calling him wealthy in the first century Judean region, right? So especially in Jericho. So that guy's got money. But what you see though is that when he says that, he just gives it so freely. It just has no hold on him anymore.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to give half my stuff away right now.
Right.
No worries.
Yeah.
And anyone I've stolen from, I'm going to go above and beyond the 120% that we're supposed to pay back. I'm going to go 400%. And and because, again, it just shows that possessions no longer possessed him. If we can get there, because here's the reality of his wealth. It would be like today, we'll just use our region. It would be like today, the guy has a oceanfront property. I don't know, you name the city, Del Mar to Oceanside or whatever, right? It's worth probably $5 to $10 million. He's got the car he drives. Let's make him cool. So it's like an upper end Range Rover,
Yeah.
He's an adventurous guy.
Yeah.
Zacchaeus. He's he's short. A lot of short people are actually really good at like snowboarding and surfing and stuff. So let's say he surfs and snowboards, right? So he's also got a home up in let's not forget Big Bear. Let's go Mammoth. He's got a house up in Mammoth too. And he belongs to whatever dope country club in Carlsbad there is. He's, he's collecting all his taxes from all his buddies. He's also, making deals because he's got a winery in Temecula. He's just got all these things. So right. And that's what he did. And realized all of that is so empty. Where most of us, that's what we want.
Right.
Oh, get me the house, get me the cars, get me this. We chase those things. And then once we have them, we consume them for ourselves. He gives them away. Mm-hmm. So now if we look at the rich young ruler, mm-hmm. that one's interesting because he is, so again, Zacchaeus, not a devout Jew, bailed on his people to make money off him. Mm-hmm. The rich young ruler, though, he goes to Jesus and says, what must I do to be saved? Jesus says to him, basically, the commandments, but he hits the, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony on your father and mother. Everything that deals with everything else except for a relationship with the Lord. Hmm. And the guy says, I've kept all these since I was a boy.
Right.
Which again, he hasn't, but to his in his world, he has. He's done it all.
He's a Jew.
I've been a really good dude.
Yeah.
And that's the trap that we find ourselves in as a lot of believers is, I'm a really good person. Mm-hmm. I treat people really nice. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Christian, mm-hmm. right? I go to church and do these things. And then Jesus says, all right, well, one thing you lack, you got to go sell everything that you have, because obviously that's where your heart is. I didn't do anything when it had to deal with God. Mm-hmm. I didn't talk about, shall have no other gods before me, all that stuff, because you do obviously have a God. And that's when it says that the guy walked away sad because he had great wealth.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that within the church, a lot of people, they put their wealth above the Lord all the time. But they're good people, and they show up to church, and they serve on a team, and they do these things. But still, their things are the idols in their life. Mm. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And so, and that's why, again, people don't want to give. I really wonder what it would be like if most people let go of their possessions and gave freely. And Jesus, again, when he's talking to the rich young ruler, so it's not like, hey, everyone out there needs to sell everything they have and give it away.
Right. Totally.
Because some Christians do that, and they get extreme, and it gets a little wild. You're
mm-hmm.
like, well, I don't know if, and we're, going to live in a van and move to some foreign country and mm-hmm. do ministry. That is a call for some for sure. But what Jesus is highlighting in this man's life is, I asked you to sacrifice your son. Mm-hmm. It's the Abraham and Isaac. And Abraham gets up early in the morning, takes his son. He's like, all right, Lord, if this is what you want. It just shows the different willingness of people. Because I'm sure that if that guy went, okay, I'll give it all away, Jesus would be like, well, hold on, mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just a thought.
I think it was interesting about seeing those two stories back to back is Luke 18 and then Luke 19 is Zacchaeus, mm-hmm. right? Luke 18 is the rich young ruler.
Yeah,
is I don't think, if you just look at it contextually, I don't think the instruction of Jesus to sell everything is prescriptive.
No.
It was for him because of what was.
Yes.
But then we see in the next chapter, well, it's half your stuff. So it's like, this is inconsistency from Jesus. Is it half or is it all your stuff?
Well, Jesus didn't even tell Zacchaeus to do it.
Zacchaeus was on his own, right?
Yeah, he did it on his own.
But I think it does point to then the thing that has your heart.
Yep.
And the reason why Jesus asked the rich young ruler mm-hmm. to sell everything is because that's what had his heart.
Yep.
And he couldn't do it.
Yep.
And then we see in the next chapter with Zacchaeus, he willingly offers that.
Yes.
And Jesus seems to be okay with that. He's like, hey, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only half, or it's more than half, but he's saying half, and then I'll pay everyone back, right? And like you said, it shows that it didn't have Zacchaeus' heart,
right?
And I think that the thing, it could be about money. Obviously, these conversations, money, but maybe it's your sexuality, maybe it's the job that you have, maybe it can be a lot of different things that have our hearts, but what we see is that what Jesus, what it takes for us to I think experience the fullness of what God's offering is what it takes for us is to be able to let go, sacrifice, and give up the idols and the things that have that sit on the throne of our heart that only Jesus is supposed to occupy. And those things that we can't seem to let go are I think that are oftentimes the biggest hindrances for us in our faith. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you're not a Christian or whatever the case is, but I think it does mean that you are experiencing, you're at risk, or at least of experiencing just not the fullness of what God has to offer.
You're not going to experience. And
that's it's I think sometimes, especially in church, we've made it so much about becoming a Christian and going to heaven and that's all. I mean, that's for sure. That make heaven crowded. But it's that's just getting into heaven. I think is such that's the lowest bar,
bro.
It's here on earth we get to experience the fullness of God. It doesn't mean that your life's gonna be perfect, but you get to experience in the fullness of God.
Relationship now,
and God does have so much for us. And again, the way that I think that salvation is a free gift, grace alone, through faith. But beyond that, there is a fullness that we do get to experience that is based on our response. And I mean, again, I think the biggest hindrance for us in those responses is there's some lure in every one of our lives. For some people it's money, some people it's maybe it's pride, sexuality. You have a drive and an ambition that's there, whatever. And that thing is the thing that's constantly competing with the Lord on the throne of your heart. And what it requires is full sacrifice, full surrender. And that's the hardest thing. And I think for a lot of Americans in our Western, kind of mindset, there is a money component. I don't know if it's just a Western, because I mean, Jesus talks about it so often in the New Testament. So it might just be all time.
It's a humanity thing. It's the only thing that the Lord ever actually says competes with him. He never talks about Satan competing with him.
Right.
It's in Matthew 6. He talks about this is what competes for man's heart. Always has. Right. Is this stuff.
Right.
And I it's that Dallas Willard quote, is that grace is opposed to earning, but it is not opposed to effort. And when you're talking about that, the salvation being free, but then there is this effort that we put into our relationship with the Lord. And there are things that you see throughout Scripture that he calls us to sacrifice, to give up in order to follow him, to pick up our cross daily. And this is before he was crucified that he said that, right? So that we are he laid down his life for us, so we lay down ours and we follow him. That is, so there more than likely there's something in everyone's heart that battles for it. Money for sure being one of it. And now and today, sexuality being another for sure. I mean, there's, whatever your vice is, of course, there's all of that stuff, right? Whatever's going to compete for the throne. And the Lord then will call you to lay that down. And the only way to get rid of it is to sacrifice it. But what we do in our flesh, and as believers, I'm going to speak to believers,
That's good.
Is we will find whatever will religiously or Christianity-wise agree with our stance. So if we have a real bent towards money and it being, something that you want to hold on to, you don't give it away freely, all that different stuff, then you're going to find the people that are the tithe doesn't matter anymore. the church just wants your money, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be like, see, right? And that's the stuff that you agree with. If it is your sexuality, then you're going to read the books and listen to the podcasts and all this stuff that will tell you, actually the word for homosexuality doesn't mean what it means. And, if you look at biblically, I mean, even now people are trying to use the Bible to justify polygamy, you see, and it's wild, but people are, do it because, I mean, I want more than one woman. So obviously you can do this. And hey, there's concubines in the Lord, and because it's in the Bible doesn't mean that the Lord stamps his approval on it, totally. Right? Right. And if you look at most of the situations, it didn't end up well. So, but you can find whatever to agree with whatever you want. And that's what our flesh does. So that therefore we can justify holding onto our idols and also still having the Lord. Yeah. Yeah. Which is dangerous.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? So yeah, this third character enters and is again such a mirror for us in so many ways. And I just love the way the Bible phrases it and says, when he heard this, he became very sad. Yeah, because he was very, very wealthy. And Jesus looked at him and said, "How hard is it for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven?" Yeah. And it's like, again, it's just this mirror of like, he walked away sad. And it's like, again, he didn't know, he didn't realize, he was holding on to this thing so tightly that he couldn't give it up. Right. Not realizing that what Jesus is offering him was better.
So much better.
Yeah. And like, it's like, I think there is, you have to acknowledge that there is real, when you sacrifice something, it is going to impact you. Yes. If you live generously and finances, it does impact you. That money could go somewhere else. There's no question about it. Yeah. Sexuality, like for sure, there's some sacrifice there. Yeah. If you give your time to the Lord generously, there's sacrifice there. And so I think there's a generation that does focus so much on, well, how could God ask you to do this, or why would God? He doesn't need you're sure. Right. It's there is a real sacrifice to it and all that different stuff. But what I don't think we focus enough on is that what the Lord is offering is so much better.
So much better.
And there's sacrifice, but there also is reward. And we don't follow the Lord or do these things for the reward. No. That's not the motivation behind it. But there is a real practicality to that. When you follow the Lord's precepts and you do it the Lord's way, when you trust him, even to the point of sacrificing whatever it is, it doesn't mean your life's going to be perfectly healthy and you're going to have millions of dollars and everything. You're never going to have another hard day in your life. It doesn't mean that. But it does mean that the Lord's ways are better. Yeah. And I think one of the things that breaks my heart the most is when I see people, again, kind of in that rich young ruler kind of like mirror there, and they walk away from the Lord, or they whatever the case is, and they're sad because they have this frustration of what following the Lord is going to mean, what they're going to have to give up. And there's a part of me that just goes, but you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what you're giving up on.
Yeah. Well, because he has a pseudo relationship with the Lord, and that I've kept all those commands since I was a kid. Right. So he's got this idea that he is this religious person, whereas you have Zacchaeus, who's just straight out the world. I mean, he's born a Jew, raised a Jew, but then decided like peace, and he's now lived in this world where he's connected to Roman officials, and he's, the sinners in the area, as they would be called, by the Hebrews, everyone out there, the sinners. He's got all those buddies, like he's right, and he's like, it is empty. And then you have, what's interesting about the rich young ruler is he's got everything that we all want. He's got youth, he's got money, he's got power. Yeah, and that's what we all desire. to a point. People, like, if just think about this today, we all hate getting older. Not we all. There is something really beautiful about aging and that I'm finding, except for the aches and the pains. That sucks. But think about like how much like we're injecting ourselves with these chemicals into our face to make sure that we don't, wrinkle or whatever, or, I think again, take care of your body, all that stuff. But like we just want to appear young and be young for as long as we can. Yeah. And then we do want that power or authority, no one's like, I want to be the least, Yeah. There's a level of we want to rule, and then he's got money. So he's got everything that we all want, except for the most important thing that we all need is Jesus and that relationship with him. Because here's the thing with youth, power, and money is it all goes away. Mm-hmm. If you're young, you get older. Yeah. Money you don't take with you once you die. Mm-hmm. And authority, there's someone that eventually that usurps you. Yeah. Or takes your place, whatever it might be. Or you die and you don't take that authority with you. Yeah. So like all those things they're all fleeting, but that's where we put so much of our time and investment in, as opposed to, really being with the Lord. Right. So, yeah. Then, and I wonder too, so Jesus has that encounter and then he walks into Jericho and he sees Zacchaeus, who's obviously a wealthy man. Jesus knows what's going to happen, but it's that point of, isn't that so crazy? Here's the flip side of a man who asks, what must I do to be saved? And then isn't willing to do it. And another man that's just like, I just want to catch a glimpse. Yeah. And then to stop and to say, I want to hang out with you. Yeah. I want to hang out with you. And I'm going to go to your house. And this is the trippy thing. And I hit upon this a little bit. But again, that house, he's going to go hang out with Zacchaeus, more than likely dine, have some food, some fun, all with, like the foundation of his money is all stolen. Right. He's got his other businesses, etc. Sure. But I mean, like everyone in that crowd hates him. Right. They hate Zacchaeus because of what he does to their people and what he did to their people. And that's who Jesus is going to go hang out with. Same thing with Matthew, the tax collector. So this is the beauty of the gospel, right? Is you have Jesus chooses to hang with Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus is then redeemed. Jesus then lets everyone, I doubt he goes on tax collecting, but Jesus lets everyone know that now he too is a son of Abraham. He's actually restoring him into the religious community. Yeah. He's saying, hey, this guy, he's a son of Abraham too. Yeah. So, regardless of what they do with that, but his word is authority. Then you have, so he's restoring the relationship. And then you go back, let's go, and I talked about Matthew. Because just in my head, I was like, that moment must have been wild for Matthew. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe, when I'm in eternity and I meet Matthew, I'll be like, I didn't care. Yeah. Or just like, actually, dude, I was far behind, whatever. But because when Matthew's a tax collector in the Capernaum region, right? In Capernaum. Right. And he gets saved. Jesus invites him. Now he is to be invited into the disciples, the group of disciples that he's been ripping off. Right. Because he would tax fish that came out of the lake. He would tax, again, all the cart, all the stuff. So you got like Peter, who's a fisherman, going like, oh, Matthew's here now? Cool. Yeah, totally. Isn't that wild? For sure. But that's like the beauty, but also the hardship within the gospel is that it does not discriminate. It is radically inclusive. And that means the people that have hurt us the most or have robbed us or stolen from us can be invited into it as well. That's good. Which is, crazy to think. Like, you show up to church and there's someone who's, who took everything you had. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that you said that I really enjoyed, and I've heard you say it before, but I thought it was really good to hear you kind of say it, especially in this context of the scripture. But, that Zacchaeus's response to
to receiving radical grace was to extend it.
Yeah.
You know, and so you see Zacchaeus who, ostracized.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Not even in this moment, he's on the tree.
Yep.
Right. Not really able to have access the way everyone else does.
Yeah.
Jesus seeks him out, calls him by name, invites him in.
Yeah.
Restores him, like you said. And Zacchaeus' immediate response is to go, okay, how can I extend this grace to the people that I've ripped off, hurt, all the different things, right? And I just think that's such a reminder is not a strong enough word,
right?
But I think just like reframing and challenge for us as believers is like there's the I gotta find it, but there's I think it's a parable that Jesus is, but he says you have a light. Why would you wouldn't hide it under a bushel? Right. Like, so you have this.
No one lights a lamp.
No one lights a lamp.
Yeah, and puts it under a bowl. Yeah. And
it's like, like you have experienced this incredible gift of grace, this redemption in your life. Right. And you're hiding it. Right. You're not extending it to other people. Yeah. And I think it's just like a good challenge for us as again, reminder's not strong enough of a word, but I think like almost like a health checklist in your life to go, am I, do I have the right value of this grace that's been extended to me? Because if I did, my response should be here and now. Let me extend grace to others, those around me. And for most of us, it's not the grace of I rip people off, so let me let me pay them back all this money. But it is, hey, come and see. Hey, I'm going to church this weekend. I would love for you to come. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you the testimony of what the Lord has done in my life. I want to share with you openly the radical change in my life. Yeah. And then I would love to extend that same invitation to you. Yeah.
Or it's I forgive you. No worries.
Or absolutely, I forgive you. Yeah. I love that that's his response. Yeah. And I think that like we need to that needs to be a barometer in our life of like how often am I really extending grace to others? How much am I forgiving others? Sure. Again, I'm almost positive I heard you say it in one of the services, but it kind of beckons to the parable where Jesus, the man who was forgiven much,
servant,
he was forgiven. The master forgives the servant, and then he
turns around for lesser money
and throws the other man in jail. And Jesus said, wicked servant. Yeah, wicked servant. Yeah, and so again, it's that like idea of like in your life you have been extended so much grace. You've been forgiven much. How dare we not extend that grace to others when someone offends us? And then on top of that, how much more should we be invitational to people to go, look at what I've got to experience. Look what the grace that God has extended to me. That's also available to you too. And I want you to experience that.
It's there's the question, how do I know if I'm saved? And I didn't want to get too deep into it, right? Because like, well, how do I know if I'm saved? Because again, like, how do you know? Until of course you die. But you can be assured of your salvation, 100%. But I think like I don't know how you can tell someone's really saved. I think there's clues. Sure. Of the way they live their life. Of do they forgive as He's forgiven us? Do they Jesus is pretty serious on that, and they even talk to the disciples. The disciples are like, well, when do we stop forgiving? And Jesus is like 70 times 7, which is basically a way to say never. You just keep forgiving.
Right. Even in the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. Right. Forgive us as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. So that's a reoccurring pattern and theme that Jesus seems to take very seriously.
I mean, that's a wild. Think about that prayer in any other we kind of browse over it. But think about this, like if you pray that in any other thing, Lord, I pray that my son would deal with pornography the way I deal with pornography. Lord, I pray that my wife's thought life would be as my thought life. You know, like, or
Totally.
kind of, you know,
Totally.
Lord, I pray that people would be generous to me as I am generous to them. Lord, forgive me as I forgive other people.
Right.
And if you hold on to bitterness, anger, resentment, that's a wild prayer.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't want to be standing before the Lord
no,
with that.
no.
And he goes, "Oh,
Man.
okay."
And when the language in Luke 19 verses 1 through 10, there is an immediacy about it. This is not a chapter that calls us to ponder and think on, and like when you see right off the bat, right? Well, you see there is a hurriedness in this thing that Zacchaeus ran. Like there's the
urgency.
Like the urgency. He runs. Yeah. Jesus gets to a spot, looks at him, says, "Come down immediately." Like, so there's immediately. Right. I'm going to stay at your house today.
Yeah, it's good.
So he came down at once. And then he says, "Here and now."
Right.
Salvation, and then Jesus says, "Salvation has come to this house." Like it's not a it's that oh man, it's like you don't wait. You don't got to wait on this.
Yeah.
You can
not tomorrow,
today. Not there later. It's today. It's here and now.
Right.
It's immediate. Like, offer grace. You don't have to wait to extend grace. I mean, you may have to like deal with stuff through whatever happened and whatnot in your life, but you don't have to wait on those things. And so many people are there and later I'll forgive. They're like, I'm going to hold on to this offense and these issues just for a little while longer.
Right.
Or I know there's something I need to make right in a relationship, but I just don't know if I'm ready to do it yet. No, I mean, you do it now.
Yeah.
You know, don't. It's not a there and later. It's a here and now.
That's good.
And you see it. So when Jesus says salvation has come to this house, he's like, it's obvious. Here it is.
Yeah.
Like this guy's about it. And even from the standpoint too of like salvation then being like it's like a moment, but then it's sanctification being a process. And who knows what happens, you know, Zacchaeus later in life. I'm sure there's some sort of historical documents or books or something that make stuff up, or maybe they know for sure. But it's not something that we have to wait on. We can do it now. We can do it now.
Yeah.
Give our lives now. Which we had a lot of salvations yesterday, which is awesome. But then it's that thing of, okay, if I've really received this grace, not just I prayed a prayer, but man. And I like, for me, I want to check myself of, am I extending the grace that's been given to me to others?
Yeah.
Am I trying to make people pay for how they've hurt me? Are they?
Yeah, prove it.
Am I proving? Yeah. Or am I? Man.
Yeah.
I forgive you. Or if I've hurt you, let me pay you back as much as I can. You know, like, I don't know. It's a beautiful picture again as we start rolling into Easter of that. This is why Jesus did it. Jesus is going to the cross for Zacchaeus. Which, I mean, that's the other thing too, right? Is that like, we tend to today think that, like, why would they want to come to church? They have so much money, they have so much stuff. Wealthy don't need Jesus. And a lot of times it's kind of like true, but a lot of them are actually finding the emptiness in it. That there's just this massively, like, so we tend to go after the poor because we talk about Jesus, love the poor, you know, minister to those in prison. All that's great. But you see here, he goes to Zacchaeus, who's pretty darn wealthy.
Right. That's good.
And says, you need to get saved, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious here, kind of as we kind of maybe land the plane, maybe talk, maybe just talk a little bit more about this like idea. You talked about it as we were doing the things in service, but just the power of invitation and just, maybe even just share some of your heart of like how we as a church, whether Rhythm or maybe for those people obviously online and maybe they have some other home church, whatever the case might be. But what is the like? What do you wish people would get? What do you think people would understand about the power of invitation?
So, I just think about this. Like everyone wants to be invited, even if you don't want to go.
Right.
If you've ever heard that there was a party or something that took place or an event or whatnot that everyone else went to, but you didn't go because you didn't get an invitation.
Yeah.
You're like, and then you can ask them, well, why didn't you invite me? Oh, I didn't think you would want to go.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to go, but I wanted to be invited.
Sure.
So I think most of the time people invitations are easy. I think people deal with rejection, right? So we don't invite because we don't want people to say no, or we don't want people to, think weird about us. So we don't invite. Invitation costs you nothing. And if they say no, it costs them everything, really, when you think about it. So I am a product of being invited to church multiple times.
Yeah.
Like all throughout high school. And then right after high school. And you want to keep inviting because even if they've said no many times, you never know what's taking place in their life. That could be the day that they say yes.
Right.
Or that could be the week that they say yes.
Totally.
And I think,
yeah.
Well, I've invited them before, but they just won't come. Well, invite them again and again and again and again and again.
I love those stories of like, I've been inviting this person for years. I've been praying for this person for years. And all of a sudden, this, random Sunday or whatever, they said yes. Like those stories, when I hear those stories, it's always like, oh man, it's cool to have the one time, I invited them and they came. But when you have someone in their life, it's a parent or a family member or, a friend or whatever. And they're like, no, this has been my one for
a long
years,
time. Yeah. Yeah.
And you see that persistence and then it pays off. I love hearing those stories.
Yep. Persistence pays off. And even too, knowing that you may be, one in a line of 100 people, but for some reason they responded to you the first time.
Yeah.
Like I was invited to church a couple times when I was a kid and I, would go if I stayed the night at my buddy's house, whatever, and they were Christians and we'd go to church and I never liked those experiences. It's because I didn't know, I didn't know church or anything like that. And that was hard. But so going into that, getting into my teenage years, there was a, youth revival that took place, shout out Pastor Benny, and I was invited and I went a couple times because it got me out of the house on a Wednesday night. My buddy drove and I was like 15, I didn't. So I was like, okay, I'll go. So I go to this experience and that's what actually stamped on my spirit. This is what church looks like. It was packed, passionate worship, passionate teaching. I was like, oh, this is what church is. And that's what that was like an introduction to the Lord for me. And then I went and did my own thing, throughout high school, but people keep inviting me. Jeff, you want to come to church? And after a while they stopped inviting me, but my mom, Jeffrey, you want to come to church this Sunday? Jeffrey, you want to come to church this Sunday? She's the only one her and Aaron are the only ones that call me Jeffrey. But you want to come to church this Sunday? Want to come to church this Sunday? And I was like, nah. And everyone, I think there was a girl there that was pretty hot or something like that. So I went once there. It was a smaller church. So it was like a really small biker church. Anyways, never mind. So then it just kept kind of she would invite and I wouldn't go and I wouldn't go. And there was a time in my life where I was like, what I am doing, I'm coming to the end of myself. This doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you would look at me and you think, you're doing pretty good, dude. You're surrounded by all the friends. You're living, got your own apartment, all that stuff. But I was just broken, man.
Yeah.
And it just took that. One more invite. I want to come to church this Sunday.
That's good.
And I went, and that's where I surrendered my life to the Lord.
Yeah.
So you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So an invitation costs you nothing.
Yeah, and I think for me too, I look from like a kind of maybe more like from like a meta kind of church world. And I think something that's happened over the last, I don't know, you could probably speak to this more, maybe 20 years or so. So I think for so many people, it's become, well, that's the church's job. Mm-hmm. It's the pastor's job. It's the people who work. Mm-hmm. And what I just hope is that people understand, like, there's an ownership level of like, no. Like, listen, we do a lot of work, and we're trying to strategic. Sure, and we want to get out and about, social media, or, billboards or ads, whatever. Like, yes, we as a church are, as an organization, we try and think through that stuff. Yeah. But it is. I mean, it is the church's job, but you are the church.
You're the church.
And I wish there was more ownership level, and like there are people. This is fact. There are people that are connected to, are family related to, that I will never, as hard as I can try, I'll never have the relational equity to be able to invite them with impact the way you will be able to.
Very true.
And
very true.
You have been placed in an area of your life, you're placed somewhere that I just can't reach. Right. Jeff can't reach. Yep. Our team can't reach. Mm-hmm. Now, again, sometimes stuff still happens or whatever, but like you're placed there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so your invitation means far more than just some random guy on the other side of a screen, or you know what I mean?
For
or
sure.
Even in the grocery store, again, that stuff happens all the time. But that's your part to play. Mm-hmm. And you're placed there for a reason, and you're placed there with purpose. Yep. And that's not, it is the church's job, but it's not like the church staff's job. But we're only exclusively our job. And I think we have just, as a church, kind of narratively, have just kind of like, as the church staff has done more things, I think we've kind of outsourced that responsibility to other people. Yep. Or even we just think, someone else will invite. Mm-hmm. Someone else will.
Yeah, someone else has this.
And this is the last thing I'll say. I wonder what it says. I heard this poet say this one time. It kind of blew my mind, but I'll change a little bit of the way he said it. But I wonder what it says to your neighbors and to your friends and to the people in your life. This is the thing that you care so deeply about. Yeah. You claim to structure your whole life around it, and you're not invitational. Yeah. What does it say? Like, yeah. I think it sets a level of urgency even around the people around you. Mm-hmm. If you, I go to church, but you never invite, you rarely invite, you rarely talk about it. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's a cute little Christian thing, little church thing you do on the side. Right. But like, it's cool. What's cool for you and what's cool for me is cool for me. Yep. But when you have an urgency that in your life and the people around you that goes, no, this is everything to me. And I like, you're really missing out. I really want to invite you. Right. The thing, like however God leads you to do it. But if you lead with that level of invitation and urgency, I do think that says something versus, I'm a Christian, but I never really talk about it. I never really share anything about it. And I just kind of, I go to church, but I don't. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yep. Cool. I'm glad you have a church thing. Yeah. It's not for me. Right.
What you're passionate, you talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It exposes your level of passion, or exposes your level of maybe almost a shame you have about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The church has become like over the last, there's a lot of stuff that how we've gotten here at church historically, but for a while everyone was Christian. So everyone and actually for a while everyone went to church almost. It was like the weird thing if you lived in a town and you didn't go to like the First Baptist or the First whatever Presbyterian, like that was almost kind of weird. And then but that was just because everything was assumed. So there wasn't a level of invitationalism, if that's even a word, that was ingrained into this until all of a sudden you hit the 70s, and then like there's the Jesus People revival, and then everyone's like, now it becomes a radically invitational thing, but then then it goes into the idea, well, where everyone's kind of Christian again. Yeah. Or there's such a cringe level of church that people didn't want to invite people to church. So, but wherever you see something cracking and popping off, where the Spirit's moving, it's like, yeah, get people there.
Yeah.
Get people there.
Yeah.
You invite people to the restaurant you like. You invite, you tell people about your favorite coffee shop, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Might as well do the same with church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Invite. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to come to church with me? Mm-hmm. It's pretty easy. And the expectation again for the pastors to do everything. I know it's just not.
No.
That's not realistic. That's not Ephesians chapter 4. Like we're supposed to equip the people to do this stuff. And, yeah.
I think practically I would say too, like when you invite people, invite them to come with you.
Yes.
I think that's like, sometimes I think the invitations are so like, well, let me know if you want to, let me know if here's church, you can go. And it's like, no, like come with me.
Yeah,
this is where I'm
I'll
going.
Save you a seat.
Come sit with me.
Sit with me.
I think that stuff's so powerful, but
yep.
So Great. Good. Well, where are we going next week?
Next week, triumphal entry.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to try to cover the whole last week of his life. Mm-hmm. But possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're going to see. There's just so much. You're like, oh, where do we?
So good.
Yep.
Well, if you made it to the end, thank you. We really appreciate you. Drop the word invite.
I like that.
In the comment section. And again, we're so thankful that all of you guys are watching, sharing, liking, subscribing. Another way to invite people, or at least maybe just share your faith with them, is even just taking a copy of the link to this video, sharing it with them. Say, hey, this thing blessed me. I think it would bless you too.
Oh, and too. That's another great way. Is like social media, sharing content. All that stuff is radical. We've had a lot of people come to our church because they saw something on somebody's story.
If you're following us on Instagram, which if you're not, you should be.
Yes.
But we're dropping a lot of stuff for Easter. We're actually, our whole kind of like social media, ethos for Easter is all about invitation. We have these cool little stories. Our content team went out and just cool little stories of people like inviting people.
Yeah.
And but here's what I want to say is, like, if you're following us on social media on Instagram, man, I want to see there's a little paper plane icon.
Yeah.
On the back end, we see those are shares. I want to see our shares, especially for Easter stuff, to be sky high. And that's a great way you can share that graphic with the service times or whatever, and share it. Hey, here's the service times for our Easter weekend at Rhythm Church. Would love to see you there. I would love to sit with you. Let me know what service you want. You can go, and I will change my plans so I can sit with you. Yep. And social media is an awesome way to be invitational as well too. But thanks so much for sticking with this. Thankful for the 4,000. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to give you guys a little bit of if you guys are our online community, meaning you are unable to come to church on Sundays, I want to let you know. Tune in this Sunday and stick around before and after the sermon and worship for a little treat. Just for you guys. Well, I'm not gonna, just a little tease. But we're doing something a little bit special and new for our online community this weekend and next weekend for as we're leaving for Easter. And I think for those of you guys who watch the podcast, it'll be something you guys recognize. So tune in on Sunday. It'll be pretty fun.
Stoked.
Yeah, come on. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Peace.